Hello, everyone. My name is Diego Alfonso, and one of your hosts with the Florida Aviation Network. Broadcasting live and in the clear from the Florida Air Museum at the SNF complex in Lakeland, Florida. Celebrating the 40th anniversary of FUN Fly-In and Exposition. Today, our guest is Randy Schuette. Randy, welcome to the show.
Diego, thank you very much. It's been a whole year.
Randy, you are the representative of Air Orlando Sales,
That is
and of course they're in Orlando, Florida.
Right.
But we're going to get into that part, the technical aspects
Okay.
of sales and all that kind of good stuff. But before we get there, what I really like to do is ask you about your background, because
Okay.
I know you're a pilot. I know you love flying,
Right,
and
right.
of course you love selling flying machines.
Being around airplanes. yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So why don't you just tell us how this the whole thing started about you being a pilot? Where did the dream come from? Where was the spark that said, I want to fly?
Diego, that goes back a long ways. But this is actually my second career. And I was in the medical equipment sales for a long time, did that for 13 years very successfully. And I got bored. I got tired of traveling. I got really just tired of the whole hospital scene. And I was a private pilot at that point. It's a typical boy goes out to the airport and sees an airplane, takes his first ride, and fell in love with it. So that's really what started the whole thing. So I did. I completed the private pilot, and that's the only rating that I had at the time. And I decided one day that I'm going to get out of what I'm doing and try to go sell airplanes. And it was now a successful transition, but it took time because I had all these sales and marketing skills, but to transition it to a new industry, it took a long time to get to know the people. Aviation, as you may know, is a pretty tight-knit group of people, and you have to get to know the personalities and the lingo and all that stuff. So eventually I got my foot in the door and ended up getting my instrument rating and selling aircraft for a few different manufacturers and on my own for a while. And that's pretty much led me up to Mike Long, who is president and owner of Air Orlando Sales and Air Orlando Maintenance. He saw me out there selling the Columbia aircraft, which I absolutely loved, and hired me away, and here I am today.
Cool.
Since 2006.
Let me ask you, when you, as you said, you were a salesman already, and
Right.
when you selling doesn't matter what you sell, it's your selling. But the airplane,
Right.
I think the airplane is in a separate category, because usually you probably be flying the airplane and selling the airplane at the same time.
No, that's true. So there's an added skill, but selling is all about building relationships and treating people the way they want to be treated and presenting the product responsibly. In this case, demonstrating the aircraft. I'm not a flight instructor, so moving over to that right seat the first time I demonstrated an aircraft, I have to tell you, it was a little unnerving, but the airplane doesn't care which side you fly it from. So
Exactly.
That's
Now,
it came
what
down
would
to.
you say if you had to go back in your memory bank and say, what was the most interesting demonstration that you had in considering everything that goes on when you're selling an airplane?
Diego, I have a lot of them. I mean, as you know, anything can go wrong anytime. But there was this one particular demonstration flight. I thought the guy was more experienced than he was. He had all kinds of hours. What I didn't realize, all kinds of hours was like 30 years ago. So had to overcome some shortcomings in a short period of time, but everything turned out well. So sometimes people tell you what they want you to hear, and they don't fill the gaps in. So it's all good.
I guess it's a very, very weird feeling sitting on the right seat and watching this guy over there running out of airspeed, altitude, and ideas at the same
That's
time.
pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And you have to be really 2-3 steps ahead of him to prevent him from doing that.
Exactly, and I tell you, I can relate to you not being a CFI, how something like that can really get your attention quickly, because I'm a CFI, and I'm
Yeah,
used to being
sure.
on the right seat. I'm used to teaching people, and I've had some, close calls. So
Right.
a lot of people don't think about airplane salesmen
Yeah.
that phase.
Right, right,
Because
sure.
every time you say to somebody, I'm going to demonstrate this airplane for you, you're taking a risk.
That's right.
You definitely think so.
Yeah.
You earn your money.
Yeah, I like to
more
think
ways
so.
than one.
I like to think so. Just wish there was more of it.
There you go. Now, what I like you to do now, what is Air Orlando? Tell us what is Air Orlando Sales.
Air Orlando Sales really is two companies. We have the new Cessna, the dealership for the new Cessna aircraft in the state of Florida, and we sell pre-owned aircraft throughout the world. Anywhere from the little light sport aircraft all the way up to probably the turboprop aircraft, the singles. We get into that. We'll get involved in a jet every now and then, but that's not really our area of expertise. So that company is primarily dedicated to selling aircraft. So we have a lot of aircraft that we own, that we broker, that of course sell the new Cessnas, and I think we're very good at it. We've got 4 full-time salespeople that cover the state of Florida. And we're not an FBO, we're not a flight school, so again, we just focus on sales. And people that come to us and they want us to sell their aircraft, they appreciate that dedicated focus on the sales part. So the other side of the business is Air Orlando Maintenance. We are a Cessna single twin Caravan service center, Piper service center, and we're in negotiations with a couple other manufacturers to pick up their service centers. So I think we're being a Cessna service center, our annual inspections are done at a higher level than just most basic annuals. So I think being a Cessna service center has a little bit of appeal to some people when they want a quality service.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: do you also provide like a locating service? Like say, if I want a certain type of airplane, maybe a year or certain equipment, and you don't have it in your stock. Do you provide service to locate that aircraft?
Yeah, Diego, we used to do a lot more of that, but with internet searches and computers, that's really made it really, really difficult, because if we're going out looking for an aircraft, chances are that person, if he has any search skills at all, has seen that aircraft. Where it pays off is if through our dealer network, if I know of somebody that has an aircraft for sale that hasn't yet hit the market, so sometimes we can get, be proactive on that.
Right.
So it's the internet's taken a lot of that service sort of away from us. But
Sure.
we still, we'll help anybody we can.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and there's a computer in every home now.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
one of those things.
Yeah.
I have an interesting experience because I'm old school,
Right.
and I learned to fly in Piper Cubs and Air Oncas, and then Cessna 150s and things
Okay.
like that. And when I left the FAA, I became they granted me my designation for pilot examiner
Right.
again, and so I'm out on the sea now, and there's the light sport aircraft,
Yep.
which is new to me,
Yep.
and I saw the Skycatcher, and at first I look at the thing and I go, gee, but you know what? What a nice machine!
Good little airplane. Yep.
I was impressed.
Yep.
Not only the performance, but the visibility.
Yep. Yep.
The way you sit a little bit different on the ground.
You do. Yeah.
That you sit airborne, but once that airplane is airborne, the visibility,
Yeah.
it's just incredible. And then, of course, the way the controls
Right.
handle is a little bit different, but you fit right into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, I have some grandkids coming up, and the student that I think they're inclined to fly.
Okay, that's
And
good. It's always a
I'd
good
probably
thing.
be knocking at your door there, and looking for probably a Skycatcher. And like I say, I love the round dials.
Right. Right.
But this technology, it's
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable, and it's definitely the future. And it's the way to go.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, do you have now here at Sun and Fun? Do you have a booth or a tent or anywhere where you can?
We do. As a Cessna dealer, as an affiliate of Cessna, we represent Cessna and the aircraft. So we're in the Cessna display area, exhibit area, along with other dealers from around the country. But this is our backyard. Florida's our territory. So we're here in force. I've got all the sales guys out here, and Mike's here as well. So it's a nice booth. I think they've scaled back the expenses a little bit. We're still, this whole economic thing, we're still not quite back to where we want to be. So I understand and applaud Cessna and other manufacturers to do the responsible thing and maybe cut back on expenses a little bit.
Good.
hopefully that's reflected in less cost aircraft down the line. Who knows?
Sure. Now, there's one thing that I'd like to know is, if I buy an airplane, do you provide a way for the person to get trained in the airplane, or do you refer them to a training center, or how does that work?
That's a really good question. As an affiliate of Cessna, as a dealer, there are designated Cessna pilot centers who are also affiliates of Cessna, and along with that comes the ability to fly the Cessna flag, put up the the signage, and use the King School kits for private, instrument, commercial. So our responsibility, if we get somebody new or somebody that needs training, love to sell them an airplane, and if they need training, we'll hand them off to one of our Cessna Pilot Center partners. So it's a natural and very easy transition from coming to us to talk about airplanes and then going to a really quality school. And I have to say, without exception, that the Cessna Pilot Centers are all quality, top notch. A lot of them are 141 schools, so it's a very easy transition.
Well, I'll tell you, as a DPE, I get a chance to do check rides all over the district. And, the Orlando district starts in Jacksonville,
right,
all the way down to Fort Pierce, and across the way to the middle of the state. And I can tell you that the product of the Cessna training centers are pretty good.
Yes, they are.
A pretty good day. I didn't know how that worked, and then I sat down and I went through the way they have that interactive
the curriculum with computer. Yeah, absolutely.
That even if an instructor is not available, they can still be training themselves, even in a nutshell.
And that's very true. And to take it one step further, the system is so standardized and it's available online that if somebody's halfway through their private pilot training and for whatever reason they have to move to a different city, they can go to a Cessna Pilot Center in that new city. They can look up, the instructors can look up where they're at and just continue on. Traditionally, in the past, what's happened is that you go to a new school, you got to back up about 20 hours and you got to start over, and so it's expensive. And so,
And here you can pick it up right where you left off. That's really good, because it's so true what you say. It's not only when you change schools, sometimes when you change instructors.
Yes.
I've seen at schools where you change the instructor, and now the new instructor said, no, we're going to do this
this way. Do this my way.
Exactly. Well, the FAA says we're going to do it that way, but
it may not be wrong. It's just different, and it's different enough that they have to go back and start over.
Exactly, but that creates a lot of problems, because that creates not only extra expenses, and I think it affects the confidence too of the student a little bit, because he may doubt the concept of the school. Why I was learning this with this guy, and now I got to learn this with this guy.
Well, I was a product of that. When I got my private long time ago, I ended up going through, it's either 3 or I think I might have finished with the 4th instructors, because back then, and it's probably still true to today, they would gain just enough hours as a flight instructor until they got hired on by somebody. And the first guy that left, I showed up for a flight instruction, and they said, "Oh, didn't so-and-so tell you that he went off to somewhere else?"
That's right.
He didn't even call me. So anyway.
And then you find yourself trying to satisfy the new instructor, which leads to more hours and more money.
Yeah, and that goes on today too. I mean, of course, not many people want to be a flight instructor all their lives until, But what happens is the Cessna Pilot Center structure provides I said it, the standardization.
It's
and
the key.
They enjoy being there. They stay there longer, and then it's inevitable that you need to move on.
I love the ground portion of the training where the pilot can just look at a monitor and sit there, and he's going to have questions, he's going to have answers, and he's going to have references, that he can do. Now, there is another area that you would like to touch on. That is the new Textron.
Yes.
Cessna type of thing. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that? I know this is a new thing.
Yeah, Diego, I can tell you what I know. In fact, we've been meeting, there's been a lot of Beechcraft people in the Cessna booth, and we've gone over to the Beechcraft booth, meeting people, shaking hands, congratulating everybody. So it's too early yet to understand how everything's going to shake out. Maybe Textron knows, but it hasn't filtered down to us, because we have two very excellent aircraft lines, and who's going to sell what, what's going to happen to the service center network, or as a Cessna Piper service center, are we going to become a Beechcraft service center? Which I hope we are. But it's my understanding that after Sun and Fun is over, there's a large employee meeting, and I think some of those decisions are going to be let out to the employees. So we'll know more in another 30, 45 days. But fundamentally, I think it's a really good fit, and Textron developing Textron Aviation and encompassing both Cessna brands and Beechcraft and Hawker brands under that Textron Aviation. I think it's a good structure, and I think it's going to be a successful structure.
Yeah, it's like a merge. It's
exactly.
like a merge.
Right.
My son, he flies for. He was flying for Continental,
okay.
And then United. Both Continental, and so they went through the process, and I guess it's basically the same thing. At the end, probably everything will come out on the wash. I mean, it's one of those.
Yeah,
things.
I mean, it's inevitable that positions are going to change, and but it's what happens.
Every time you and I talked and we do this kind of thing, I feel that I'm a little bit partial to you and your company, because I'm from Orlando,
right.
And I saw Air Orlando,
right.
The birth of the original Air Orlando when
right?
It was a flight school,
okay.
At the terminal.
Right.
The terminal is not even there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And then as Air Orlando progressed into different things, and Part 135, and then the Air Orlando sales and everything else. And I've seen the growth, and I think it's a good thing for the area. I really do. I wish you and Air Orlando sales all the luck in the world, and
Thank
this
you very
transition
much.
period is just that.
Yep.
All the water seeks their level.
Oh, we'll get through it. We're doing just fine. We're just not eating steak. We're stuck on hamburgers right now. But we'll get back there one day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you very much.
And
Pleasure
to have
to be
this
here.
conversation.
All right.
I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
And
You too.
enjoy the show.
I will.
Don't go home.
All
That's
right.
the most
No,
important thing. And to you, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Diego Alfonso with the Florida Aviation Network. And we will be back very soon.